Good
earlier than me.
evening. Yeah, yeah. So
Good.
good evening, everyone. So we are here tonight to do what we do. We're gonna do some talking. We're gonna do some celebrating. We're gonna do some maybe some crying. We're gonna do some acknowledging. So sit back, get your little water. If you're sipping on something a little stronger, maybe some lemonade.
All right,
Get
too.
your
It's
little
all right, too.
get your little something to sip on, and just sit back and enjoy yourself and open yourself up to um, whatever it is that you need tonight. Allow yourself to receive what you need. So, first things first, yesterday was another trip around the sun for the inspirational treasure.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so happy, 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 happy birthday.
Thank you.
We do thank God that He gave you the option to come into the earth realm and that you received it. So yeah, many, many birthday blessings to you. And I pray that you make the decision to stay here for many, many more.
Absolutely. Girl, listen, let's do it. Let's do it.
For many, many more. So some other things happened yesterday. I just want to go ahead and make sure that we're all aware that there was a book release. It was one book release, two books, right? One book release, two books. And so so that's pretty dope. One of them I knew about. One of them kind of slipped in on me, but nonetheless, I am excited. I am excited. It's always an amazing thing when somebody who has such an assignment is able to quiet their mind and still themselves long enough to actually put something in a creative form, whether it's spoken word or poetry or literature. It's just an amazing thing because I understand the struggle of quieting the mind when you hear everything.
Everything.
Everything. So
Yes,
yes, I
yes.
do understand. So to our viewers, welcome into the room. Welcome into the room. Want to ask you to um, share it with somebody who you love. Yeah, share this live, share this video with somebody that you love. This is going to be a great way to say I love you. There are many ways to say I love you. This is going to be a great way to say, hey, I love you.
Oh,
And I'm showing you that I love you by letting you by exposing you to this amount of love that just flows freely. And I'm going to say randomly because many of us um, we get real focused on how we love people, like we make decisions about love, and then there are those who just love randomly, like I don't know you. No, I ain't never seen you before, but hey, I love you. And that's a special brand of love. We call that agape,
I
the
got
God
that.
kind of love. Yeah, agape, the God kind of love. And so again, share this with someone whom you love as a means of saying, I love you. So um I have a few questions, but first, I just want you to share with the peoples um, these two books on this one book release, and give us an idea of how that turned out, what that looked like yesterday.
So, first of all, I think everybody, of course, we've been promoting what if God is all of us and, considering the love walk approach and all that. We've been promoting that. So, everybody's been kind of ready for that one. But there is a book that I've been putting off. I couldn't do it and do some of these other things. So, it's been put off for a couple of years now. And
Ah,
listen, my whole crew has been like, excuse me, is Red coming out to play at any point? So I have a novel series. I wrote my first novel a few years ago, and it
ooh,
was extremely exciting. I was happy about that. But I wrote it as a series, the first book of a series of books called The Colors of Victory. And so the second installation for that one is called They Read Me Wrong. It's Ruby's story. Her color is red, of course. Her birthstone is a ruby. Her parents, they started their own legacy. I mean, literally changed their last name. Their father wanted them to have their own name, and so he did that. But he decided to name his children after their birthstones to remind them of their strengths, who they are, what they possess, you know. And the color just kind of took over their lives, but not just to be a show. It really takes them through these obstacles that they have to face in their life. So it's pretty dope, and I'm excited about it because it definitely took me a minute. It's longer than the first one, so it took some time, but and oddly enough, the third one will be coming not too long after because I've already started working on that, but that one is going to be Sapphire. So I'm excited about it. And so I announced it live yesterday, surprised everybody. And I think we in the top 100 with that one too. So we already best-selling status with that one. And number one new release for What If God Is All of Us in philosophy, methodology. So I'm excited about all of that. It's been dope.
Nice. Well, let me say congratulations publicly. Congratulations. Like I said, I know that it's not always easy to settle down and quiet the mind, and put pen to paper, our fingers to keys, or however, because I know it comes in different ways. Sometimes you got to write it. Sometimes you can type it. You know, you got to go with it however it comes. So, and I get it. I understand it. So I'm going to jump right in. Because I prayed beforehand. So if y'all haven't prayed yet, you might want to step away and pray, but I already prayed over this right here. So I know we good.
Absolutely.
So you need to dip off right quick, and I ask the Lord to open your heart and open your mind and open your spirit so that you can receive. Go on and do that.
Let's
Amen.
do it. Amen.
Look, I low key just did it for me, right? So listen, I'm gonna hop in a few pages, because I know that this is important. I don't know if anybody else really understands how important. I just happen to be privy to the importance of it. But in the book, What If God Is All of Us? Considering the Love Walk Approach to Social Justice and Global Healing. Let's talk about this dedication. That's the question. That's the question. It's a statement, but that's the question.
We already stated ahead of time that we might do some crying, but I'm gonna try not to do it right now at the beginning. But,
look, I won't even pick on you for crying as a birthday gift. Okay.
Okay. All right. Maybe later. Next time. Bring it up later. Girl, did you see your face? I don't know. Don't worry about it. But yeah. So this patient, at the beginning of the year, I did another form of this particular book, and it was entitled the same thing. What if God is all? It was Discovering Treasure's Truth. So what I did in that particular book is kind of just introduced everybody to the fact that, hey, girl, your girl got some thoughts on her mind, and I thought that was gonna be it, and God was like, really? You knew it was supposed to be more than that, right? And so in that book, I also did a dedication to this particular individual, but I decided to bring it over because it is so important to me that people will be able to understand what our trailblazers have done, and I'm very adamant about reminding people that though, we stand on the mind of Christ, the walk of Christ Yeshua wasn't the only one that taught this message. And so we acknowledge others that have come along to share this at the expense of their lives, at the expense of their lives. And so Bishop Carlton D. Pearson, oh man, you messaged me yesterday and you was like, you yet holding on? And baby, I felt that thing in my tears a little bit because there's so much happening. But he was one of those individuals. And 20 something years ago, he wrote a book called The Gospel of Inclusion. And it was one of those books, man, when I first read it, I was like, oh my God, like just the title alone, I was like, yes, God, like, oh God, this is it. Like, this is it. And I didn't say anything. I still did not adjust myself to openly doing these. I'm that person, right? So I do that to people, period. But openly stating in ministry and other things that, hey, love is the way, inclusion is the business. Christ did this once and for all. What are we doing? But he had that message. So if anybody knows Bishop Pearson, he was that dude in the charismatic church at the Azusa Street, okay? Different was a protege of Oral Roberts, and this is not to sound racist or anything, but he was the boy in the situation. You understand? He was the one with all of the Caucasian counterparts, and he was the one they set out front to do pretty much everything: personality, attitude, singing, charisma, and of course again Azusa Street. So as he began to expose or to speak this truth that God has given him, he was watching TV one night, watching people in another country, and they were starving and hungry, and the whole thing was happening. And he said to himself, or out loud to God, somebody needs to go over there and get them saved. And God says to him, well, why don't you go? And he says, you gave me these children. I can't possibly go. Somebody needs to go over there and get them saved. And so he said, the Holy Spirit said to him, do you really think that we would have a portion of our creation and they not be saved, or they not be thought of or loved? It was profound. Nevertheless, it changed his whole life. So he began to do the searching in the scriptures for the message of inclusion, right? Teaching, what have we been teaching? What have we been doing in the church all these years? And he began to uncover some things, go and try to preach this message to his church, lost his church, lost the fellowshipping with everybody, all the big wigs, the bishops and archbishops and all these different people literally shoved him out. Like, you're out. You're no longer a part of this church, this organization, this thing. Everybody has something to say. All the big names, had everything to say. But I remember looking at the situation and saying, oh my goodness, we're preaching about this, but y'all just did the same thing to him that the people did to Jesus.
That's right.
Wouldn't that make sense that what he's doing in this hour is exactly what Christ Yeshua was doing, exactly the mind of Christ? And isn't that what we all should be doing? And so nevertheless, he became my mentor from afar of sort in these last years before he transitioned, because it's been heavy on me to voice it, to speak the truth, to say whatever, but it's been even more heavy on me since he transitioned over. So that's the to Bishop Carlton D. Pearson. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the voice. I'm grateful that I'm bold enough at this point to be able to say, I'm sorry that I didn't get it at the moment, because you needed the support and the people to say, we in it too, right? Because it was people behind the scenes calling, getting counsel about it from him, saying, because everybody was too afraid to show up and say these truths to the world, because we know what the church is like. And that's the crazy part. We know the words, we know the dialogue, we know the hate, we know all that stuff, and it's time out for that. So yeah, we are, and I'm grateful for his life.
Well, all right. So I'm gonna read the dedication. I dedicate this book to Bishop Carlton D. Pearson. You are a modern day example of what Christ Yeshua came to show us. You trusted the message that I am revealed to you, and you stood up in it at all costs. It seems to me like this is really what Yeshua spoke of when he talked about giving up everything to follow him. You had to give it all up. Thank you for sharing your life with us. Thank you for being bold and courageous so that we in this generation could see it be modeled. I found my voice because of yours, me and many others. Now, Bishop, I must also add to this. I must also add this as you have transitioned. Servant of God, well done. The gospel of inclusion, indeed. So we honor what the child of God, as some say, what the child of God chose to surrender his life for. We honor that. He chose to surrender his life for that, right? Because isn't that what you do? You surrender. You just nobody can really take it from you.
Yeah,
You give
yeah.
it away. Yeah, you give it away.
And,
Nobody
and,
can really take it from you.
and you did what that's ultimately what the law of love teaches us anyway. You know, we have to live this life in our way because that explains the view that God had of the world and everything through our eyes. Where you know, so when you read that to me just now, um, and I thought about that message of the cost. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember hearing that growing up in church and service, and we were taught it from the perspective of giving up all the worldly ways and all these where
Right.
we pretty much got restricted from doing everything. I mean, people couldn't play cards on Sunday. We couldn't do nothing. Wash clothes, you
Right.
couldn't do nothing. And you
Right.
couldn't go to friends, you couldn't hang out, you couldn't listen to music, you couldn't do these things. And that was supposed to be the cost. But here's the truth, man. Like here's the truth. This man said, and we get taught, hey, be obedient. Make sure you obedient. Do what the Lord tell you to do until
Until
the Lord tell you to do. You understand? And then you
yeah.
stand up and you begin to speak the message. Let this mind be in you, man. That was also in Christ Jesus, and that's what he did. And so when Christ said it, you know, there's a cost to following me. He wasn't saying that your life had to be miserable, but what he
Right.
was saying is that there's a cost. You're not gonna be able to be with some of the same people no more. Them same
Yep.
people that was rooting for you, and I talk a lot about this when we're talking, you know, just on a regular basis. But you know how many people don't prophesy things to me that they couldn't even get all the words out because they thought it was too much or it was too, you know, too over the top. So you
Yeah.
prophesy to me the greatness that God has over my life, all these beautiful things, until the
Until.
manifestation of that thing is not what you thought it would be. Right? So
Mm-hmm.
those of us
Mm-hmm.
who really sit down and say, God, you know, I want to know your truth. Tell me your truth. Show me your truth. Show me the heart for your people. Show me their heart for you. Let me see a full picture because what I'm getting served is making me sick. And I
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
something that's going to help me to not be that. So the cost is real. And those, my team is here. A lot of them are here. So they're already understanding, but you even more so because you walk with me, beside me. And the cost is real, right? Because
It's
now you have
real.
to know the world. Am I, you know, coming from a fundamentalist background, family, all, you know, fundamental, everybody. My grandfather was a holiness bishop, baby. You ain't getting no more sanctified than that, okay? But I love
Yeah.
them, and I don't think that they really meant harm. But what
No.
happens? The truth is coming up out of you, and you have to suppress it because you're afraid of what will come along with that. So the cost is very real, and he lived that.
Yeah. Yeah. He did. He did. And not that I ever had the opportunity to ever physically be in his presence.
Right.
However, um, the fruit, right? We get to be fruit inspectors. The
Yeah.
fruit.
Yeah.
The fruit says it all. When you have people whose job, when their job is to police the church, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Their job is they make a living out of policing the church, and those people say, I can't even think of nothing bad to say about him. I never saw him mad. I never saw him sad. In the midst of everything, he was always making sure everybody else was okay.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the
Those
fruit is
those
what it is.
those closest to him, during the time where he was transitioning and before that, you heard a lot of those people begin to speak out. And some of those
Yep.
same people have been being silent for a long time because you can't
Mhm.
associate with the one that is
Right.
now rejected. And y'all, we're saying all this right now, but I need y'all to really hear this because this is the stuff right here that has the whole world confused about who we are. When Jesus said, "You shall know them by their fruit." And I think that what you just said was absolutely perfect because the
Yeah.
people who know him testify of this. They testify
Yep.
of the moments when people called him to get counsel about how do I do inclusion when my whole church is this? How do I do this when I'm a part of this association? And they're calling for prayer behind the scenes and everybody's doing everything in secret. God, I knew I was not going to cry tonight. Oh my God. Oh my God. But everybody wants to do everything in secret because I can't
Mm-hmm.
let nobody know I'm associated with you. His one of his spiritual sons, actually his and Bishop Polk, he'll say, "I'm not his successor, but this is a succession." Many of us are in this particular succession, but Donald E. Polk,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I started the first chapter with his quote, right, about considerations as opposed to beliefs. But you'll hear him testify a lot about that particular man. That one that knew that you were talking about him, the one that knew that you were bashing his head in the background, and he still counseled you, and he still loved you, and he still
Yep.
did what? Everything that we were asked to do by Christ Yeshua. So, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a worthy
Let's
dedication.
talk. Let's talk. But let's since you brought it up, let's go ahead and talk about those considerations.
Okay. What do you want to know?
Go
Let's
ahead,
get this.
let's go ahead and talk about those considerations. When he says, when people ask me what I believe, I tell them that I don't have beliefs. I have considerations. What are we considering?
Man, first of all, that is such a powerful quote. And I actually got that the day I went to visit Sanctuary,
Mhm.
in Spirit and Truth Sanctuary in Decatur, Georgia. And so Bishop D.E. Polk is his name. His wife is Brandy. And so we were taught in a way that made us feel like we had to believe this and this alone. And if you believe anything extra along with that, then you were pretty much wrong, right?
Mhm.
Then let's go to Romans chapter 14, where we are told that every man must be convinced within themselves, where we are also told, do not allow yourself to feel ashamed based on what you allow, right?
Mhm.
So faith is something different than what we were taught. Faith is really about the conviction or the convinced you, right? Are you convinced of this wholeheartedly, right? That's why it makes sense to say, hey, I got faith, but help my unbelief, right? I believe, but help my unbelief.
Right.
Because
Right.
I'm
Right.
convinced. I'm convinced that love walking is the only way, right? That's just me. I'm convinced of that. However, help me to believe so that I don't judge the judgmental. You got me?
Right.
So, nevertheless, that consideration and no belief. So, it's a statement of liberation.
Absolutely.
A statement of liberation that says, I don't gotta believe it just because you told me that that's what it is. I gotta study
That's
this
right.
to prove a workman that need not be ashamed. I gotta believe this for myself. So I don't have to believe that, but I'll definitely take it into consideration. Thank you for offering it to me. Right? I
Thank
talked.
you for offering.
Thank you for offering.
Yes.
I talked today when we did TikTok live. I talked today about the difference, or I think I made a statement about the difference between the way and the paths, right? Because we hear it all the time. There's only one way to God. There's only one way to God, and you can't do nothing else. Pump brakes. The way is love. That is the one way. We see this
That's
one.
right. That's the one way. Yep.
It's the
That is the one way.
one way, but there are multiple paths. And let me just go ahead and say this. I'm not even just talking about religions. I'm talking about all the billions and billions of people that's in this earth. pretty much we all have a different path to take, all leading us back to God, which is love, to spirit and truth, because God is spirit and truth. And everything leads to that. But there are so many different ways to view a thing. How many times have we sat in the room with people who 10, 15, 20 of them, and we all there in the name of Christianity. We got Jesus' name tapped into something, but this person over here is like, that ain't even his name. This is his name. And the other person is over here saying, well, I mean, you do know that scriptures have been altered and changed over the years. And then you got this person over here saying, well, I mean, I enjoy the service, but why do I have to staple my whole self into this? I believe that I should be able to do this and this and this and still love God. So we all have our own path.
We do.
Confirmed in Romans 14, because you must be convinced within yourself. I'm not convinced that I can't eat meat. Got me? But the rules say, don't eat this. But if I'm if that's my belief system, then I'm not going to be able to hear God when God says, get up, kill him and eat him.
Right. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I believe that the law is everything, and I'm not going to deter from that. Okay, then. Well, when you read in Galatians 5 where it says the law is of no effect, and you know Christ is of no effect to you, if you're trying to follow this, then are you going to listen to your first mind, or are you going to be stapled into the belief? So we can have beliefs. Some of us have solid beliefs, but most of us just want to consider: is this even something that works for me? Does it even make sense to me? Right? Why do we have so many different translations of the scriptures? Why do you have the different versions and the different translations? Because everybody doesn't understand the same language. So for them to consider something, they need a different translation to even read. So we have to loosen the hold, because love does not control, first of all, and it gives us the right or even the permission to just consider. Yeah, that's what freedom is, right? To be able to consider for yourself. Because how can I say that I have faith in this thing if I'm not convinced? Right? I can't tell you my faith is in that. I cannot, I'm pretending that it is, but I don't really know if it is. Let's do a poll right now of the people who don't even know what they're convinced of or not. Right? Still consider.
Well, most people don't even really take the time to consider that they can consider. They just believe whatever they were told.
Because they have no choice. And here's the thing, I deal with so many people, and seeing the stain of that, it's hurtful to watch, because in your heart and mind, they're free to choose. You're not
free to choose.
I'm fully convinced. Like, I might not believe everything, but I'm definitely believing. You know what I mean? That people have the right. So when I'm working with people and I'm sorting through some things, and I'm helping them to work through forgiveness, or I'm helping them to work through seeing the fullness of themselves and standing up in the truth of who you are, and you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we're doing all of that conversation, and they're still stuck on, I was born in sin, shaped in iniquity, so I'm so off. Oh my God, I'm never gonna get it right. I guess I'm never gonna be. You understand? And so now, for me to offer to you that, hey, God is in all things, and that's a part of you. So when you talk smack about yourself, what you're really saying is that same God that you believe, that you love, that, oh my God, God is everything. You now pretty much just threw back in his face the handiwork that he created or expressed, right?
That's right.
So
that's right.
It's hard to be able to break through that, but it is my belief that with patience and love and with kindness, we can pretty much break through anything. So I'm here for it.
Well, all right. So I'm gonna go all the way back to page 1, and page 1 is our title page. What if God is all of us? That's that is a non-rhetorical question.
Pretty much.
It's a non-rhetorical question. I don't want to be a nerd, but I'm just saying it's a non-rhetorical question. And then you say, considering the love walk approach to social justice and global healing. So That's a solid, definitive statement. Even though you're saying consider, it's a statement that will beg the reader to ask the question, can I consider it?
Yeah.
Do I have the option to consider it? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is she telling me I can actually start to consider things that I've been told? So let's just talk about the title, how we have a non-rhetorical question and a definitive statement that prompts the reader to think.
I think that's pretty much the whole nature of this ministry that I have. Okay. Think on these things. So what if God is all of us? Of course, is the consideration, because many of us do not feel like we're free to be able to do so. Can I tell you that many of the people who actually want to purchase this book and read it are afraid to purchase it and read it simply because it says, what if God is all of us, right? Now I'm not putting myself on the same level with God. I ain't finna do that. And so instead of reading it to get an understanding, we begin to go through all the motions. Why? Because we've been programmed not to ask God no questions. Right? Don't ask no questions.
So even the very notion of let's just say, yes, God is all of us. Let's just say that. Yes, God is all of us. Wouldn't that make him even more massive than we ever thought? It wouldn't belittle him at all, would it?
Pretty much. I think we have a problem. We have a problem with, we're trying to, okay, we're combating against things we've learned our whole life, right? And so when you are taught something that's outside of you, that's big and it's all great and all powerful and all of that, most of the time we don't know to think past that. Well, if he's so massive, he's so big, he's so omnipresent,
and he created me in his image.
Then, obviously, this is not a real question to consider, right? Because God is outside of us, you know what I mean? And so then the question, and when you get into the book, we're going to start talking about certain things. One of those things being, God is omnipresent. How many people can argue that they've never heard that God is omnipresent in a message?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because God is omnipresent. Well, what does omnipresent mean? Everywhere at one time. But what everywhere at once, everywhere at one time. But again, the image is, he's everywhere at once. So God is all around us. He's everywhere. God is showing.
Not that he's in us. Not that he is us.
Not that he is us. Not that God is manifested as all things. Omnipresent means everywhere at once. That means all our energy, all your energy, all our atoms, every bit of matter, tree, sun, whatever, it all is one thing manifested into different unique expressions. And so we get caught up on questions like that because can't possibly be us. God can't, but he can be everything but not us. So for God to be all things at one time means that doesn't exclude us. It includes us in everything that it.
Right? I am
absolutely
the divine manifestation of God in the earth, showing up as Maryland.
As Maryland, as Shalonda, as Tina.
Right.
Nadia, you understand? We are here and showing up as unique expressions. And honestly speaking, how can we give God all the glory if that's not a consideration? Right? Again, we see things as outside of ourselves. So, and it's interesting. Think of it, just like picture it, right? God is everywhere, and we're looking all around us.
Except here, he's everywhere. He's all around me, but he ain't in me.
Listen, he ain't in the crystals. He ain't in the sun, the moon, the stars, or none of that either. Because we can't even talk about that. We can't even bring it up.
You can't. But
consideration, because most people don't feel like they are free to consider.
Right. But that rolls me into this next question. the what if. I like the what ifs. What if we all embody divinity?
Yeah.
If.
What
What
if?
if? What if we all just made peace with the fact that we are divine? What if?
What if?
What would that make us?
God embodied. That would make us God embodied. And then, of course, to tie it in together, we know that God is love. And so if God
Yep.
is love, and if God is omnipresent and everywhere, then that means we are love embodied. And so if we can take that understanding and put it in real life, it doesn't make me humble. You understand? That makes me humble as ever. I feel privileged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to even be
Absolutely.
explore everything that comes along with that. Right? We've been taught to look at ourselves through a mirror of ridicule and awfulness, right? To the point where when somebody says, hey, this doesn't exclude you, it includes you, then all of a sudden we have the defenses up. We're trying to prove why that's wrong. We're trying to, no, that can't possibly be. Well, did you not say that you served a God that all things are possible with?
Okay. Mm-hmm. All things.
So,
All things. So I'm gonna read this little piece right here. It says, another key point is love and inclusion as fundamental to true spirituality. So I said, what if we all just acknowledge that we're divine? But what if we could all just realize that we are spiritual beings?
one spiritual being divided into different expressions. Can you dig it? Look, who that sound like? Can you dig it? Goddess, can you dig
Can you dig it? Yes. One.
it? Just one spirit.
One.
It just emitting
One
into
spirit.
the different reflections.
Radiating.
Science in quantum physics or science, it
Mm-hmm.
would called energy. We're all energy,
Energy. Yeah.
matter.
Absolutely.
It's all expressing into different things. That's why, to me, it's such a beautiful thing to consider, because it now means, and this is what I believe, just you being present made you valid.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Unique expression, and that alone made you valid, right? People, they laugh at me when I say, "And you a winner by default, baby. You made it to the sperm
By
party."
default. By default.
By default, you already are that. So God literally has been showing us from the beginning, before the beginning of time, that we literally are simply expressions. I think that it just makes us feel like we're trying to be too big, but yeah, can you really give God all the glory by trying to be too small? Right? Shrink yourself to make you fit. Can't. It's
Cannot.
beautiful, man. Can you ever, like, a person who does a painting and it's expensive? They don't put a good price on this thing. The insurance covers it. It's amazing. And you go in and you see a speck of that picture missing, and you done paid all this money for it. How you gonna feel about it? Oh,
You can feel away.
thing is missing. So
You
that's
can
kind
feel
of how
away.
tapestry looks when we don't all accept the fact that we are indeed that. Again, it's your consideration. I ain't here to make you believe it or not, but consider.
But consider. Consider.
Hmm.
All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. And my goal in this interview, in this discussion, is just to allow the people to have a taste of kind of usher them into, or make them feel comfortable enough to not be afraid, to not only buy it, but to actually read it, and to not read it in over in a dark corner somewhere, so can't nobody see that
Ain't
they're
nobody
trying
see.
to, right? Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Put a put a,
Hold up,
ma-
hold up.
a Essence, put a Essence magazine over it and make it seem like you read the, make it seem like you reading something
I
else
was
and
just
you
about to
really
say that
over
too.
there,
I was
you
just about to
know?
pull something else. Oh no, we
Yeah.
can't do this one either. Oh, my bad.
Right. Look, but you actually have a better chance of somebody seeing you read the Bible than to actually be talking about love, inclusion, and social justice. That's a Molotov cocktail for we better hide you.
I
We
mean,
gotta
but is
hide
it?
you. Forget hiding the
Yeah,
book. We gotta hide you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
You know?
I talked to the team about that, right? Because let me tell you something that happened in the team meeting. So this is just yeah, this is interesting. So God kept giving me this question to ask them. And I asked in different seasons. So I'm talking about maybe a year and a half ago it got asked, and then it got asked again 3 months later, then it got asked again a year later, whatever the case might be. But they was like, man, why does she keep having to ask this question? And who not getting it? And everybody's in their mind like, man, why she got to keep asking? And I will always say, no, why does God have to keep asking? Right?
Mm,
Why does God in me, right? This inclination, this nudge to keep asking this question. So I had to explain to them that this question it really wasn't about loyalty or not loyalty in that sense of the word, because y'all love me. That's y'all know y'all love me. I know y'all love me. That's what it is. However, do you know what you signed up for? Right? Might have to hide you. You're right. Isn't that, I mean, but isn't that kind of what has happened with every Love Walk agent that has come before us? They had to be guarded, protected for certain reasons. And then, of course, the
absolutely.
outcome still was the outcome. But the question was not about whether you care about me. This wasn't, it was, remember when when Peter was like, do you love me? Yes, I love you, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love me? Yes, I love you, Lord. Do you love me? Well, God does. Why you keep asking me if you love me or not? All of a sudden, so the question continues to come because God always knows that something is coming after. With
That's
Peter,
right.
it was coming after. The denial was coming after. The conversations were coming after. We don't know everything they even talked about amongst themselves when
Mm-mm.
it came to
We don't.
Jesus and how weird he might have been or whatever. So the question is simply this: will you have to put a magazine over to read it? Will you have to keep hiding the messenger because you're afraid of what other people may have to say? So that's another thing to consider.
It's another thing to consider. So as this I want to say shell is being cracked open and you are allowing your voice, because once you put it on in writing and you put it somewhere where somebody, they can have a Kindle in the Amazon jungle. They can have a Kindle, in Zimbabwe. They can have a Kindle in Australia, even if they don't have the print book.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
once they have that, you can't pull it back. Right? It's
No,
out there now.
the forever word.
It's it's out there now, and
Mm-hmm.
so there will be those. Um, there have been those, and there will be more. Let me put it like that. There have been those, and there will be more. There are those who are currently considering. There are those who are now considering, do I continue to follow or do I fall back? So
Mm-hmm.
there's a few things happening right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So my build up is to ask this question, as oneness, allness, I am, as you are being allowed to reveal um, to the earth once again, once again.
Yeah,
Um,
once again.
yeah, once you are now being allowed to reveal to the earth once again who this being really is, who this being really is. The question then becomes for those who are wondering, so is your Christianity still valid?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter anymore.
And so, I had to put that in. Like, I literally started to leave it out. I really did, because this was supposed to be a work as just to present this approach to the world.
But this is a part of it.
That question has been ringing in me since, even when I first started getting enlightened about it all, when I was like 15, or younger, still trying to navigate, like, dang, well, does that make me a Christian, not a Christian? Am I Christian? Am I not a Christian? Because that question, the statement of Christianity is so huge for most people that it seems like a question that I had to settle on. Is it still a factor? So here's what, and I won't allude to everything that I said in the book. If you get it, you read it, and you'll understand my whole heart about it. But I will leave you with this. I feel more Christian now than I ever did when it comes to the path that I choose. Right? Again, we got the way, and then we got the path. And I can't speak. I'm not opposed to any other spiritual leader or love walk agent, because I think I'm absolutely grateful for them. But I grew up with Yeshua. And if the ministry or the religion, and I don't even know if I would call myself religious anymore. I'll say I'm a love walker. But the religion surrounding his name is still one that I bubble with, right? Because now I get to not just wonder. I wondered about Christ Yeshua my whole life. Like, man, like this seemed legit. The dude seemed cool. He seemed like he loving. He standing up for the least of these, and he's speaking against religiosity in certain ways. He seemed pretty legit. But they saying a whole lot about him that I can't resonate with.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see him like that. And if I do see him like that, I also see me like that, because I feel like that's his message for all of us to see ourselves like that, right? So nevertheless, because that is my foundation, you will hear a lot of my conversations stem from what Yeshua said, because that's who I can relate to, because I finally have a vision, a real vision. You know what I mean? Now it is by your fruit that I know you, Christ Yeshua. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, even though I still don't know your whole story, I don't know everywhere you've been. I can't account for the 18 years missing. I don't know everything about you. I'm reading it. Got them Dead Sea Scrolls, got the Egyptian Bible, got the missing books, trying to just, learn more about you. But more than anything, I know now that your message was not the same thing as everything I've been hearing my whole life. So I get the right to learn you. So I feel more of a Christian, because my objective is not to stone you because you don't got it together. My objective is not to, piss on you because you're not walking with me the way that I think you should. Now I really see his character, and I am totally engrossed in the character. And when it says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Yeshua, it means something totally different now, right? Now I can see the way. Nobody's making me walk the way or that path to get to the way. I can see the way through that individual, because that was my choice. So yeah, I feel more Christian than I ever have before, because love is the real definition or mantra of that, what that's supposed to be like, to be Christ-like. So that's pretty much the gist of it. But you can read more about it in the book.
Ashe, goddess.
Yeah, I wish she was here. I don't know why, but I just feel like I need to have a conversation with him at an interview or something. Like,
we do. So I'm gonna throw out some names, and as I say the name, I want you to tell me briefly. I want you to tell me what comes to your consciousness. Buddha.
Stillness and enlightenment.
Gandhi.
Oh my gosh. Absolute nonviolent, unconditional love. We can do this thing different and still accomplish what we're trying to accomplish.
Eckhart Tolle.
Remove all the fluff and just be.
Mother Teresa.
I think we would have been twins in another life. I do. Because when I
Marion
think about my
Williamson.
aunt, I immediately think about hers. I really, really do.
She did used to have a little blue scarf on her head.
Amen.
Marion Williamson. Marion Williamson.
Oh, listen, I was about to say her name earlier when you were talking about what if we all are just divine. And when I think about her, what I think about is that poem that we've heard that says it's not our darkness that, you know what I mean? It's literally the light. It's the light that makes you afraid of yourself. So to consider the question of am I divine is like oh my God, maybe I shouldn't, because we're not afraid of what we're not. We're afraid of who we are.
Right. Because we don't have to live up to what we're not.
We don't.
But we think we have to do something to be light. We don't realize that we just are.
That's why we don't, because we don't understand what unconditional love really means.
Yeah. Michael Beckwith.
You had to do it to me. You know what I'm saying? You had to do it to me. I kind of get the same little emotions about him that I do about Bishop Pearson. And that's because even back then I was listening to him too. And I was afraid to just say, man, this is the path that I'm on. You know what I mean? But Michael Beckwith is a real one. You know, he's a real one. He's been through the all cost thing too. And he's not afraid to just be. And so I absolutely love that about him.
Paramahashna Yogananda.
Yogananda. Oh my gosh, man. Me and my husband actually watched his film. We watched the Gandhi film, but we also watched the one about Yogananda. And it was so much revealed, even to the humanness of him, right? His broken heart when certain incidents happen later in life. But he began to tell a story. They told a story about being a baby inside a crib and getting visions and seeing past things. Mm-hmm. And now you're a kid having to grow up telling other people, this is what I'm seeing. So when I think about Yogananda, I really do think about one that had to step out of what people thought was the norm, even if you were called wicked or whatever the case might be, to physically, literally show up as who you are. That's why when people get, we get all up on our high horse about yoga and all these other things. It's like, man, how about you just study the principles for a minute and understand that it's about more than just some other person that you think is. Anyway, but nevertheless, he dope. That's what I thought. That's my opinion.
Martin Luther King Jr.
So when I think about him, I think, and this is going to sound crazy to some people, when I think about Martin Luther King Jr., I wish that he was able to fully experience what he was teaching.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about segregation or civil rights and none of that. I'm talking about the absolute unconditional love that he was teaching. Absolutely. I wish that he had lived long enough to see this time and live in it. Because actually, Michael Beckwith, he talks a lot about when Coretta King would come. He enjoyed being in his services because his mind was wide open. But how do I tell my Baptist Association that I really believe this? So when I think about him, I'm grateful for what he did give, but I feel sad because I wish that he was able to experience the fruit of what he talked about and preached.
Take a deep breath. Shalonda, Inspirational Treasure, Williams-Lynard.
She is bold enough to speak, but compassionate enough to consider how your ears will take it. She is one that is no longer ashamed to wear the badge of love, and I'm not afraid of the bullies anymore. That's willing to beat me down because I'm that person, right? She is determined to present this approach to the world with no shame anymore. She is a voice crying out in the wilderness of the pain and the destruction and the hurt and the ridicule of the people that just want to be seen. You know, she is an advocate, but I'm an advocate for love, which may oftentimes make people feel like she ain't for me, she for them. When in actuality, if you listen to her, she's for you both to make it right so we can love this thing out, as opposed to he said, she said, they said. She love emotion and she knows it.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let that settle with you for a moment. I'm gonna read these comments.
Yeah, you did that. I'm but I ain't surprised, because if you see my little invitations, I was like, it's gonna be juicy. You know what I mean? We just gotta know it. But my heart is racing right now, but I'm good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because my thing is, this is what I want anybody who's watching right now, anybody who will watch in the future. The reason that I did that way is because I wanted the world, because we on the World Wide Web, I wanted the world to see. But I said Gandhi, you got excited. I said this when you got excited. I said this when you got excited. I said this when you got real excited. I said this when tears came in your eyes. And I said you, and you just calmed right down. So I want to say to you, you are as exciting as every other name that I called. You are as notable. You are as tapped in. You are as enlightened and lifted as every other name that I called. And I wanted to do that way publicly. And I prayed about it, because I was like, I don't want it to seem embarrassing. But I know you so well that I knew that you wouldn't be like, oh, well, yeah, Shalonda. I knew that you would just calm right down and humble right on down when I said your name.
That's that Leo rising.
Yeah.
That's that Leo rising in me. You did it. You did it. You did it.
So, that is the moment that I have. That's the moment that I was looking forward to in the interview. This is the moment that I was looking forward to. And so I wanted to show that display, because I deal with a lot of people, and even though you don't see my face a lot, because I'd be like tucked off, but I deal with a lot of people, and I deal with a lot of people who have greatness in them. I deal with a lot of people who know they have greatness in them. To date, I've only met one that I knew wouldn't get excited when their name came up. And the world just needs to know that. The world needs to know that. That is a sign. That's love personified. That's love over and over and over again. That is literally, that's the example that Jesus came to set. That's the example that he came to set. So, well, y'all, interview's over.
It'll be real grateful you got some other activities tomorrow and you will not be here, because my God.
Y'all, thanks for coming. Tell all your friends to watch the replay. No, but moving forward, I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of gather yourself. So I thought I'd make a couple of jokes. Monique, girl, you better watch out for me. I might be coming for your stage, girl. I got some jokes. No, but in all seriousness, I wanted to paint that picture. And again, let's talk about fruit. You got to know somebody's fruit to walk into a situation and literally say, this is what I'm going to do. And I know this is what's going to happen. Ain't going to be no spoiler. Ain't going to be no, oh my God, that's not. I already know what's going to happen. So she don't need to know this. It don't need to be no, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do me. And I know you're going to do you. Simple. Simple. So anyway, moving along, I want to take a bit of a station break just for you to talk a little bit about where people can go purchase, not just What If God Is All of Us, but where they can also go and get the novel. Just do a little station break about the book, kind of similar to what you did in the beginning, so that people won't forget that, all this ADHD and stuff in the world, people be forgetting. We don't need them to forget. So let's go and run that back.
I almost forgot to put it in the description, so you're right.
Let's go and run that back.
Oh gosh, okay. Anywho, y'all. So in the description, you will find the links to both books. You will find the link to What If God Is All of Us, considering the Love Walk approach to social justice and global healing. It's in paperback, hardback, and in Kindle. And you will find They Read Me Wrong. That's Ruby's story. I'm so excited for y'all to read it. I ain't got no words right now, but nevertheless, you can find the link to Ruby's story in this description as well. I will tell you to just go to Amazon.com, look up Shalonda Treasure Williams-Lynard, and baby, you're going to find not just them two, but all of them. So go on and get with it. Go on and get with it.
All of them. All of them. All right. Okay. You good? You got your breath sound?
You already know what that did to me. That's the crazy thing. Like that took me back to that night at your home. That was one of those moments.
And that, my friend, is what it was meant to do. That's what it was meant to do.
I'm good.
God, the Father. I know him as Father. That's my best expression of him in my life has always been Father. But I always will ask him for the Maryland way to do things. I know I got to do it, but that way is kind of boring. I know I got to do it, but let me put a little sauce on it. That was my sauce. Right?
Yeah. You did that. And I think
I've been waiting on my sauce.
He's out here in the comments.
I've been waiting on my sauce.
They high-fiving you and everything in the spirit realm. Like they like to see me jacked up. They knew it was gonna do something, but it's all good.
So I don't know if you really paid attention, but almost since you sent me the book for me to read it, I've been kind of not really vocal.
I did notice it. When I'm
because I was like, if I talk too much, I'll be like, okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I ain't just gonna say. I ain't saying nothing. I'm gonna let her think that the Holy Spirit told me we ain't supposed to be friends no more. I said it. Yes, I said it. Hey, we here now, right? We're here now. We ain't hiding nothing. We here now.
I'm done. I'm through talking about that. We gonna move on because that's messed up. Because you knew what I was feeling and think that's crazy.
So I'm sorry. So I apologize.
Oh my gosh, you already know.
But I knew that if I kept talking too much, I was gonna say, "Oh, girl, on that part right there, I'm gonna do." So I was like, I'm gonna just be like, she gonna be like, "Hey," I'm gonna be like, "Hey, how you feeling today?" I'm good. Look, you talking to me, I'm sending emojis.
And then when I told you about the pastor and granny, you made some type of expression, but after that, it was like, okay, that's just the general. How you doing about this situation? Go, I got you. I got it.
So okay.
Enough, the Holy Spirit didn't stitch on you this time, so I guess it was supposed to be.
Well, because I had prayed about it. He would have been a backstabber if he didn't would have told you. Okay, y'all, this is really how we do like off camera, so y'all can see the So,
but if we was on camera, you would have got that A-star and the.
Oh yeah, I was hoping. Look, can I tell you that I was hoping for it? I wanted. I was like, I don't think she's gonna do it on camera, but I sure want it. Okay. All right. So now. So now I've had my moment. I've had my moment now. Okay. Okay. So y'all go get the book. Y'all go get the book, but don't just get the book. Get it, read it, consider it. Let it just permeate your being. Like read it and just let it sink in. Then I want y'all to also get the other book. I want y'all to also get They Read Me Wrong. Listen, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. You don't even gotta read it. Give it to somebody, but just support the love mission, right? Because whether y'all know it or not, I know it. Aside from just supporting, her household, probably every other penny, and I do mean penny, every other penny she pours back into. That's
That's about Teresa in me, baby. You know what I mean?
Listen, y'all, listen. If my cash app go off and somebody done send me 3 pennies, I be like, Shalonda ain't got no money and she trying to sow seed. Look, cash app can't even take nothing from it. It just be like 3 cents. And I'll be like, thank you, Jesus. Bless my friend. Listen, we here now, right? We gonna tell the all of the truth, right?
And I'm okay with that. I promise you cracks me up. Because she done messed with me a couple of times and told me not to sew. Like, how you tell somebody not to sew? How you tell me not to do it?
Like I will post something like, oh, we're doing this, or oh, we're trying to do this, and then I hop in her inbox and say, you bet not send nothing. You bet not send a dime. All them 3 pennies.
Them 3 pennies might finish up that 100.
Absolutely. Them 3 pennies might make $1. Somebody might have 97 cents.
You understand? Johnny, you gotta be open to the spirit. I'm just saying.
Listen. The least amount of money you've ever sown into me is the time that I've prayed and tarried the most for God to bless you. That's the truth. So I'm saying I'm laughing, but it truly is just another creative way to let y'all know the heart of the woman, right? So we laughing, but if somebody literally, somebody literally can only find 3 pennies and they give them to you, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. And I feel emotional, and I don't even care nothing about no emotions, y'all, not for real. But I feel emotional when I say that because that's deep. Like, that's deep. That's deep. Somebody got 3 pennies and they send them to you. They got a bank account and it's 3 pennies in the bank account and they give them to you in hopes that they're going to bless you in some way. I mean, what you going to do with that? What are you really going to do with that? So when that same person then writes a book and mentions social justice, the love walk approach to social justice. So I'm going to tell y'all, last year I got this bright idea. I often get bright ideas. Sometimes after a while, they don't be so bright. They be a little dim, but I get them, right? And I decided that I wanted to be able to help my clients. And so I was going to go back to school and I was going to get my master's degree in social work. Now, I have a psychology degree. I have a master's in business and leadership. I have an honorary doctorate in divinity, and I'm working on another bachelor's degree in metaphysical science. But I was going to go back to school and I was going to get my degree in social work. One of the first things I learned when I went back to get my degree in social work, as I was reading the description of social work, the first thought I had was, oh my goodness, Jesus was a social worker.
Yeah.
Jesus was a social worker. And so when I see considering the love walk approach to social justice and global healing, what that sounds like to me is, can we do this thing the way Jesus intended?
Absolutely. As the I am has intended before time was time. Can we, because we hear a lot about social justice causes, which is, great. Everybody gets in their area, their lane, where they are advocates. Not everybody is an advocate for the whole world. Some people have their individual areas, but we see a lot of social justice movements. But one of the ones that really caught my attention as I was writing the book, because I actually started back school as well. I'm getting the bachelor's, the master's, and the PhD in metaphysical science and divinity. But I went back to University of Phoenix so I could finish out this applied psychology degree. And the first class that I took was about cultural or multicultural or cross-cultural psychology. The study of, and I was so invested in this particular thing because, of course, this was another way for God to say, okay, Shalonda, you keep asking me how to write this, what you need to say, what you need to do. But here, when I started it, I said, oh my God, that's it. It's all this, that's all in here, right? So we had to do a paper about a social justice cause that was happening right now. And I was sucked into not Me Too, because Me Too is a whole nother it might have been Me Too movement. It was one of them anyway, the movement where the young woman wanted to help those who had been harassed sexually. And I think it was Me Too.
That is Me Too.
Yeah, Me Too. It is Me Too. And
keep talking. I'm gonna go get my phone charger. Keep talking.
Okay. So she started an organization to help those who had been in battered relationships, who had been mistreated, had sexual mistreatment on the job, and things like that. And so I was invested in her particular movement because one of the parts of her statement was that we're not just here to help the victims, but we're also here to help the offender. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was so profoundly moved by that because what they understood then is the very thing that we understand, and that's everything has a cause, a root cause. Everything has a beginning. And a part of love walking and with this love walk approach to social justice is literally let's approach everything like that. Because when you begin to approach everything from that perspective, she's been sexually molested and abused and all that. So she could have easily only made it about the people who were hurt. But she began to understand a pattern, which is what most of us are supposed to really begin to understand when it comes to unconditional love. That person may be the person that beat your mom while they were drunk, but that very person that beat your mom while they were drunk is the very person that got their faces bashed in when they were kids because they didn't do right. They didn't take out the trash. They didn't, they spilled the milk or whatever. So hurt people. And we continue to speak those words, but now we have to speak the words that loved people will continue to love people. And so if we can be the ones that start that train, in other words, go within yourself, what that heart look like for yourself, what is in there that needs to come out because you got some root causes, and your root causes is causing you to be nasty and act extra with people. So let's deal with your stuff. And the person who offended you, this is where Christ Yeshua came in, where he said, bless your enemies. Pray for those who despitefully use you. Why? Because God knows the whole story. God knows everybody's perspective. And so attacking it or approaching it from that perspective, yeah, it blessed my life when I read it in her description. And I was like, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So a part of the love walk approach, and when you read it, you'll know it. But a part of it is accountability, because I talked about inclusion, I talked about love, I talked about empathy, I talked about seeing everything clearly and all that. But I had to put something in there that lets you know that I'm not telling you that it's okay that people did what they did to you. But how about we call people to accountability? How about we call you to accountability? What have you done to lead to the decaying? Today I talked about decaying teeth, but what did you do to lead to the decaying of this world? And when we all begin to look at it, then we now are the victim and the offender. And when we work on those things, then we can approach this thing from that perspective. And it not may work, but it will. It's the only thing that can.
Will work. Absolutely. It will work. And so that reminds me of I used to do a lot of interviews back in the day before I decided that I was going to be like a hardcore introvert. I used to do a lot of interviews, and people will always ask me questions about forgiveness. And one of the questions that I always got asked is, how do you forgive people so quickly? And my answer is still the same right now today, but the answer is because I know that I'm guilty too.
Yeah, I've done some stuff myself. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm
I'm not.
guilty too. I've done some things. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not here. And with that being said, I will bring, just in coaching period and being an apostle, I do bring to other people's attention their perspective, their side, because
Yeah.
when you bring me a conversation about what said, who did, what they said, how they did it, and what people have done to you, then I'm going to bring that your attention around, not to make you feel bad, not to make you feel beat down, because I'm going to give it to you in grace and I want you to give yourself grace. However, I'm going to point out those things and get you to do your own introspection so you can understand that, hey, because of your brokenness, you have done things and said things to people. Because you feel like everybody in the world is corrupt. You done gave somebody the side eye, looked them up and down, told them to leave you the F alone. You done did some of that stuff, not knowing what they were going through in their own life and to cause more offense in their life. So we've all done something, whatever is past is the past, but you need to sit with that. See yourself as a spirit having a human experience just like everybody else. We're all on a journey. Who are we to judge the next person's journey? But if we use love as the salve and we start from the bottom, not excusing what you did, but you did this. It affected a lot of people. It hurt a lot of people. Now, how can we get you to turn your train the other way and do something different?
All right. Well, yeah. Look, so because I feel like we've given enough information for anybody who hears this um to go get the book. But this is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say you've given them enough that even if they don't go get the book, right? Because everybody can't afford to go get the book. You've given them enough for them to consider that
To
they
consider.
can consider. that to
Absolutely.
consider that they can consider. And so I'm going to read a quote that's in the book. There are a lot of them, but this one I like. Was one of my personal favorites, and it says, "When we see God in each other, we will be able to live in peace." And that's your twin with the blue head rag. Yeah.
That's it.
Um,
That's the summation.
that's it. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. And so, one of my final questions is, in your enlightened perspective, how do we embrace inclusion?
It takes a little bit of what we just discussed, right? Of seeing everybody through the lenses of, hey, ain't none of us perfect. But here's what I want to offer to that. We also have to begin to see things as on purpose, in
Mm,
purpose, and with purpose. If God
mm.
is all that we say that God is, then there couldn't possibly be mistakes.
Oh,
There couldn't possibly be anything that should not be here or present. It all has purpose. Even the thing you think is the worst of the worst. I don't necessarily want a bubble with no fire ant because it tears you up when it bites through that skin. But it has a purpose.
it does.
The crow has this bad image because it's black, it's dark, and we've attached negativity to darkness. But man, some of my best sleep is when all the lights are out, and other activities have happened when all of the lights are out. So
Baby,
darkness.
baby, don't tell him about Shalonda the wife, okay?
You know what? We're not doing that today. We won't. Maybe tomorrow during the interview, but we embrace inclusion by abandoning the thought that something about this creation or the people we're in connection with is a mistake. Either God is all things and knows all things and did all things perfectly, or God did not. And so we have to begin to look from those set of lenses. Everything has purpose. And so we got to embrace that for what it is. If you don't want to do it, however, and you're not convinced that it's for you, then don't do it. But you
That's
cannot
right.
judge another person for being on purpose and in purpose.
All right.
I
That
love it.
actually that actually was my final question. That's my final
Well,
question for this leg of the race. That is my final question because I believe that like I said, I believe that they've been fed enough to consider. They've
absolutely.
been, they've been fed enough to consider, and that was the goal. That was my intention. I had two intentions: for the people to get enough to get an appetizer to stir up the hunger in them, right? And then, of course, to list all the people, and then you know what I did.
And
Don't
do what
talk
you
about
did. Well, I appreciate the interview. I appreciate your love. And for those who may want to be a part of the panel interview for tomorrow, can't make it to Fayetteville, Georgia, you still want to listen in, be a part of it, you want to get a autographed copy of the book, um, then please make sure that you go to celebratetreasure.eventbrite.com, make a donation of above $17.11, and make sure you got your address in there. You can get your autographed copy, but you can also be a part of the live stream that we'll be doing tomorrow as well.
Whew. Now I don't know how I'm supposed to calm myself down and go get some rest now, because now my endorphins is all over the place. But I just want to say that I am so proud of you, because not everybody has been in the garden with you, right? Jesus, he had 12, but he took three,
For
right?
real.
Not everybody got to see him sweat blood.
Right. Mm.
No. And so yeah, I've seen you sweat the blood. And so I'm so proud of you. And from this point on, from this right here, from the unafraid, unashamed, and I'm just going to say it the way I feel it, from the unafraid, unashamed, I don't give a damn place. The world needs to go ahead and open up their arms and get ready to embrace the love walk approach, social justice, and global healing, because it's here. When you show up, it shows up. And so I just want to say, congratulations. I'm
Thank you.
super, super proud of you.
I can feel that.
And I ain't scared of bullets.
Ah!
I ain't scared of bullets.
I absolutely love you, and you ain't gonna make me cry no more. I'm about to go. I love you.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Those of you who have been with us in the live chat, shout out to those of you who will catch the replay. Listen, go get the book, but at the very, very least, do yourself the honor of considering that you have options to consider.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all. Peace,
Many
blessings,
blessings,
and love.
everybody. Good night.